Terminators have been in use since the Legiones Astartes were first formed. They were planned to eventually replace the standard power armor, but in the Horus Heresy it revealed the weaknesses Terminator armor brought, but also its strength. They have long since persisted into the 41st millennium, though some marks have gone the way of rarity. Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and today we are covering the Relic Terminators of the Space Marines. This would generally encompass any sort of almost extinct Terminator patterns, which would be tartaros, cataphractii are the biggest ones. Relic Terminators come in at 200 or 400 points for 10 and 5 respectively. They move 5 inches, they're toughness 5 with a 2+ save, 4+ invulnerable, 3 wounds, leadership 6+, and OC 1. This is a fairly standard, though not bad, stat line in the slightest, and I think is totally standard for Terminators, though at this price point you're certainly paying a lot for it. In terms of ranged weapons, they do have quite a few unique options. The Volkite Charger has devastating wounds with 2 attacks that hit on 3s at 18-inch range, with strength 5, AP 0, and damage 2. The Plasma Blaster is 2 attacks that hit on 3s at 18-inch range, with strength 7, AP 2, and damage 1. And then you can overcharge that, which gives it hazardous and bumps it up to strength 8, AP 3, and damage 2. The Heavy Flamer is Torrent Ignores Cover with D6 attacks that auto-hit at 12-inch range, with strength 5, AP 1, and damage 1. The Storm Bolter is Rapid Fire 2 with 2 attacks that hit on 3s at 24-inch range, with strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. Reaper Autocannon is Sustained Hits 1 and Devastating Wounds with 4 attacks that hit on 3s at 36-inch range, with strength 7, AP 1, and damage 1. This is an interesting suite of ranged weapons. It does mean they have quite a bit of firepower, especially with the buffs to generic Space Marines that they recently got. In terms of melee weapons, the Power Fist is standard with 3 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 8, AP 2, and damage 2. The Chain Fist is the same, but with anti-vehicle 3+, and it hits on 4s. The Power Weapon is 4 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 5, AP 2, and damage 1. And the Lightning Claw is twin-linked with 5 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 5, AP 2, and damage 1. Their ability is an upgraded form of Fury of the First. You can ignore any or all modifiers to this unit's ballistic skill or weapon skill when making attacks. As well, when this unit targets the unit selected as the Oath of Moment, add 1 to the hit roll. So this special rule does mean effectively that so long as they are fighting the Oath of Moment target, which a unit this expensive really should be, they will always be hitting on 2s, which is certainly a nice buff to make them extremely accurate. It does really help alongside with the +1 to wound to make their special weapons hit all the harder. In terms of melee weapons, I'd say the Power Weapon and Chain Fist are slightly moot these days, and the Lightning Claws, in my opinion, are my favorite, though the Power Fist certainly has its benefits, being strength 8 and damage 2, allows it to punch harder against generic Marines, but the grave increase in attacks from the Lightning Claws does sort of balance that out, in my opinion. In terms of ranged weapons, if you wanted to bring them, I would say that the Havoc Autocannon, or Reaper Autocannon, is a exceptional weapon that is just all around great, and the Plasma Blaster, or Volkite Charger, though I prefer the Blaster for the AP, is a great weapon to give to your Sergeant, just so your unit has some extra firepower. I didn't write it here, but any unit that can attach to a Terminator squad can attach to this unit, so effectively the 4 core Terminator characters, as well as a few chapter-specific ones which we will cover over later. Now the loadout for these guys is fairly standard, but I still did want to go over all of the options and how they work, as there is one option there that I didn't include on this section of the video, just because I feel it fit better into the loadout section. So every model is equipped with the Combi Bolter and Power Fist. The Sergeant's Combi Bolter can be replaced with one of the following: 1 Plasma Blaster or 1 Volkite Charger. For every 5 models in this unit, 1 Terminator's Combi Bolter can be replaced with one of the following, either a Heavy Flamer or a Reaper Autocannon. And any number of models may replace their Power Fist with 1 Power Weapon. Any number of models may replace their Power Fist with 1 Chain Fist, and any number of models may replace their Combi Bolter and Power Fist with 1 Twin Lightning Claws. For every 5 models in this unit, 1 can be equipped with a Grenade Harness, which simply gives the model the Grenades keyword, which is handy to have just to throw out some extra mortal wounds on something that is either running away, or that you don't really want to waste all your firepower on. You can simply throw grenades at it, which is certainly very nice. My general loadout would be melee, with Lightning Claws, though I'd say that it is generally worth it to bring the Havoc Autocannons and the Plasma Blasters, which of course restricts you to a Chain Fist or Power Fist, and I would generally bring the Power Fist over either the Power Weapon or the Chain Fist. This, of course, does help a little bit against Space Marines that you'll be struggling, but mainly just so you have a actually solid amount of ranged firepower to deal some consistent damage. In terms of buff options, the Captain and Terminator armor is obvious. He gives you your free stratagems and reroll charges, both very nice. And he's a solid place for a lot of enhancements. Just being a Captain is a very beneficial thing. The Chaplain is more useful if you're running this unit outside of your standard chapters and actually running the unique units, because +1 to wound is just huge, especially on Lightning Claws. The Librarian in Terminator armor is my personal favorite, as he gives them sustained hits, which is amazing on all of their weapons, and he does appreciate the +1 to hit, as he naturally hits on 3s, unlike the others here. The Ancient is, for the most part, pointless, but if you just want another body for an insanely huge unit, he can bring some extra muscle to the power, and the extra OC is very nice. Darnith Lysander is an Imperial Fist character that brings a powerful Thunderhammer, as well as a -1 to wound for his unit, which is certainly nice, though I'd say I prefer him with other Thunderhammer and Storm Shield wielding Terminators. Space Wolves have many Terminator characters, but I'd really only say Logan Grimnar and the Battle Leader are really worth mentioning here, as I think they are actually both quite solid, giving lethal hits and of course army-wide reroll charges whenever you want. In terms of detachment, Gladius is great, advance and charge is always useful, and extra AP and Lance is great if they can't charge the Oath target. Stormlance, as I mentioned, has advance and charge, which is great. Librarius Conclave yet again gives us advance and charge with extra movement possibilities, is even better. Rerolling ones to hit and wound is also exceptional, given the fact that they hit on 2s already, for the most part. Righteous Crusaders gives them a lot of buffs that are very nice, whether it be sustained, lethal, or feel no pains. They appreciate all 3 of those buffs to a large extent. And the Liberator Assault group is where these guys are no doubt at their best, not dissimilar to the Assault Terminator counterparts. The +1 attack and +2 strength is insane on those Lightning Claws. If you don't bring any unique units, you get 60 attacks at strength 7, AP 2, and damage 1, with +1 to wound the Oath of Moment target, which is enough to rip just about anything apart, especially with a Librarian along, which brings you up to an average of, I believe, 78 or 80 attacks, something along those lines, which is simply insane and will render anything in the game shredded to pieces, Wolverine style, which is not only a cool visual, but it's just cool to see Lightning Claws that devastating. Moving on, obviously, Terminators have been around a long time, and there's quite a few units for them, but the 2 that come to mind immediately as competition are Assault Terminators. Their damage output in melee is just about the same, though the relics have a slight edge given their superior special rule by a wide margin. I'd say the 2 are pretty even given the 20-point difference between them. Though when it comes to regular Terminators, though these guys no doubt have better damage, the larger price disparity does slightly discourage me from wanting to run them, just because, well, I'm not getting that much. The only really unique option they have, aside from being able to take a mix of melee and ranged, is the Havoc autocannon, or Reaper autocannon, which is very good, don't get me wrong, but you also lose out on the Cyclone missile launcher. And their melee damage here is still slightly better. Unless you're running a mixed unit, if you just want the classic Fists and Bolters, I'd say regular Terminators do the job just as well as your regular Terminators if you just want the generic Terminator build. And honestly, if you wanted to, you could just run these models as regular Terminators. It's not like they use anything that is completely unanalogous to something else that the regular Terminators have, i.e. you could use your Havoc autocannon as a assault cannon if you really wanted to. Moving on, we're going to move into the best use section of the video, which sort of sums up my thoughts. And I think the Relic Terminators are very expensive, probably slightly too expensive, but their special rule definitely does give them a niche compared to the generic Terminator options. They hit on 2s in most situations, which is great, and with Oath of Moment they can threaten really good damage to anything, really. Personally, I would use the Lightning Claw build, bringing along the autocannons and plasma blasters, which offer surprisingly good anti-everything firepower, being able to chip 3 to 4 wounds at worst off of most targets. Though their general nature does of course come with that extra price tag. They are the priciest of Terminators, excluding the Deathwing, though they do come with a unique blend of range and melee, which gives them a slight niche at the very least. I would generally say strap on a Librarian and have some fun. If you want some suggestions for something like a transport, the first one that comes to mind would of course be the Spartan, which gives you a full slot for a full suite of 10 of them if you want to run 10 Terminators, which I very often do. Or you could use something like the Heresy-era Storm Eagle gunship, which, I believe it's the Storm Eagle. Yes, the Storm Eagle, which allows you to not only bring an entire unit of Terminators, but also allows you to bring something like a Dreadnought along, which could offer quite some useful backup fire support. Not that these units will really struggle to take anything down. As I mentioned, the Lightning Claws are fully capable of annihilating any standard unit, and even some Titans would generally struggle to withstand that firepower that they have in melee, and honestly, their guns are quite good at stripping wounds off with devastating wounds, medium strength, and +1 to wound. Anyways, I quite like the Relic Terminators, even if they aren't quite as competitive as their regular counterparts. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought down below, and I will see you all next time.